Okay. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us on this session on the transforming power of effective class advisory systems and strategies. We're going to talk about concrete things that you can do as class advisors. It's a choice. Look back to your years as a student, and you will remember some class advisors who made an impact in your life. Maybe they are the ones we want to see when we go back for alumni homecoming. Maybe we saw them not simply as teachers of math, science, or English. We looked up to them as a second mother or a second father. We look back to our years as a student inside a classroom and we realize there were some who made an impact in our lives, and there are some who are forgettable. You don't even remember how they did their advisory class. Maybe the only thing we remember of them is they collected reply slips. They ran after us for submission of um, payments, right? But some we remember as those we run to for personal problems, even. And some of you who may have been class advisors for many years, you know this. Students sometimes go to you and they open up more than they would open up to their parents. Some of the students find it more, um, they find it easier to go to you and to tell you about their problems. They may be afraid of their parents, but they can open up to you. That is an effective class advisor. And so the session today is like telling you, let us be um, convinced we can be an effective class advisor. We choose to be effective class advisors, not mediocre, not just an ordinary one, but a real effective and fruitful class advisor. My main source for our session this afternoon is the book of Rafe Esquith, author of Teach Like Your Hair is on Fire. Okay. And in fact, there are some strategies I'm going to share that actually came from this book. He was a teacher for almost 30 years in a poor community in Los Angeles called Hobart Elementary School. And for almost 30 years, he taught grade 5 students, majority of whom were non-English speakers, meaning to say they had English as a second language. Asians, um, non-Americans there. And yet, in his classroom, all of the students get to publish a book by the end of the grade 5. And all of them would go on to be highly successful professionals, ending up in some of the top Ivy League schools like Harvard, Stanford, Yale. In a community where many of the students end up failed, kicked out, or even jailed, except everyone who passes through his grade 5 class. That's how effective character formation is. it's it like spells the big difference between success and failure for the students. And so I'm going to get many strategies from this book, Teach Like Your Hair is on Fire by Rafe Esquith. And the other source we have is Hal Urban's book, Lessons from the Classroom, 20 Things Good Teachers Do. And while the title of the book says 20 things, he actually talks about dozens and dozens of concrete strategies that we can do inside the classroom in order to form character, in order to be effective class advisors, um, coaches, not just ordinary teachers, but moderators, guides, and mentors. That's why we're going to also look at some of the strategies he talks about in that fantastic book, Lessons from the Classroom. Okay, yesterday, those of you who were with us, we discussed this very important idea. Whether we like it or not, the students imitate us for good or for bad. And that's why the bottom line message yesterday was, well, let's be the best teachers we can possibly be because the students need us, because the students need a role model. And that is how we form character. That is how we elevate our profession into a noble level. The nobility of the teaching profession happens because we do not just cover the curriculum, we do not just teach subjects, we teach students. We form character mold minds. To educate a person in mind and not in morals is to educate a menace to society. And this is what we're seeing in society today. People of influence, of power, sitting in high positions without morals, they create a big mess. They become a menace to society. And that's why we talked about that yesterday. We can fix up society. We can fix up Philippine society by making sure that all the students we have inside our classroom this coming school year are all going to grow up to be men and women of character. There is a big, how do you call this, competition. Parents are supposed to be the primary educators of the students, of the kids. But in the Philippine setting, in Philippine society, this is problematic because we have more and more parents who are absentee parents. Not that they abandon the family, but there are cases like that. Not that the parents are separated, but as we mentioned yesterday, you have 11 million Filipinos working abroad, many of them leaving behind kids of school age. So we have a problem here. If the parents are not there to supervise, for example, the way their kids use the computer, and when you see a student sleeping in your class, and then you delve more deeply into it, how come? How come this boy, this girl is always sleepy in my class? And then you realize, because the parents are not there to supervise. And the kid can be playing computer games up to 2 a.m. because mom and dad are not there. They're working abroad. They are too busy making money or trying to make the lives of the children more comfortable by earning more. That is what is happening. Media is very powerful, especially social media. That's why we now live in what experts call post-truth era. This is now the kind of world we're living in. It's called the post-truth era, where truth can be fabricated through social media. Fake news abounds. The media can control what young people are subjected to. Even the truths they accept can be manipulated by social media. It's cool, but our problem here in the Philippines is you have a new education secretary, and then he or she comes up with a new program, changing the curriculum. And then another new secretary comes in with a new government, and he or she changes again everything. Now we have a secretary who just resigned. We're waiting for somebody else to come in. And whoever that is, now will have a new agenda, will follow a new program. That is problematic. It becomes problematic. Um, like what we see, for example, people had not understood yet UBD, understanding by design, which for many years teachers were trying to understand. And people had not fully understood it. Here comes the OBE. And then the OBE comes and a new secretary comes in and we have the Matatag curriculum. And then we have the, so this is where we find ourselves in now. Well, whatever the curriculum is, what we pointed out yesterday is this is the reason why we have to make sure that the young people are formed in their character, regardless of the curriculum, regardless of the program, regardless of uh, 5 subjects, 10 subjects, 12 subjects. If every teacher shows by their good example what it means to be good, to be upright, to be a professional, to be kind and caring, to have grit, resilience, and empathy, then it doesn't matter what program there is, what curriculum we follow. The students will learn what matters most, what counts most, which is goodness, which is character. Peers, according to research, the students are influenced in a great way by their barkada, their peers. Sometimes more influential than the parents. And that's why parents are very wary about the kind of friends their kids, the kind of circle of friends their kids get into. Because peers, that's very influential in the formation of the conscience of the kids. And then the environment. And experts tell us this environment that the young people now are growing up in with a strong digital lifestyle, technocentric lifestyle there, where without supervision, a kid can actually be spending the whole time in front of the screen of the television, of the cell phone, of the laptop, of the gadget, of the computer, of the giant screen of the television at home. And that is the kind of world that the young people are growing up in, which experts described as an environment that is so pernicious, insidious, and clandestine in the way the environment, in the way it manipulates mindsets. This is where we find ourselves in now. This is where the young people are growing up. This is the kind of environment that they are growing up in. So, regardless of the environment, of the program, of the curriculum, we teachers play a more important role than ever in making sure that the young people develop character, grow up with the right mindset, with morals. We are not in private practice. You and I, teachers, are in the helping and caring profession, a service profession to help people enhance the quality of their lives. You remember the slide I flashed yesterday? I am engaged in the business of enhancing lives. That is what the teacher does. In spite of situation at home, which is very powerful, influential in developing the character of the student. But let's face it, that kid also spends 8 hours inside our classroom, sometimes even more. And that's why we still can do something about the character of these young people. We can enhance the quality of their lives, especially the class advisors. Okay, so here are some principles I want you to understand and accept for the rest of my presentation to make sense. Class advisors. An effective class advisor can have the greatest impact on the formation of the students. As I said, maybe from our own personal experience, we have seen it. We have seen how the class advisor, because of the encouragement, motivation, the timely reminders, the timely reprimands that we receive from them, we are who we are today, thanks to one class advisor or another. We can have the greatest impact on the formation of our students. Here's the second: on his or her effectiveness or ineffectiveness lies the spirit or the lack of it of the class. Think about it. Classes, more or less, develop a certain character, right? I mean, those of you who have been teaching for many years, going from one classroom to another, at a certain point, after teaching the class for a few days, minsan, even for a few hours, you actually start getting an impression. This class, the character is like this: very competitive, very difficult to handle, very difficult to manage, or the opposite, so easy to manage, so great to be with them, so exciting to spend time with them. The class starts having a personality, a character. And many times, that personality of the class, it's the class advisor who created it. It's a class advisor who conjured it. That's why sometimes when I'm giving a presentation for class advisors, this is the title I give it: Conjuring the Spirit of the Class. We are the spirit of the class. It's in our effectiveness or ineffectiveness that a certain spirit, a certain character of the class is created. Here are some basic expectations for class advisors. Number one, if you are to be an effective class advisor, you have to have a full understanding and sincere appreciation of the spirit of the school. Think about it. Our job as class advisors is to get the students identify themselves with the spirit of the school, the core values of the school, the mission and vision of the school. That's what class advisors are supposed to be: the guardian of the spirit of the class that should comply or configure the spirit of the school. And for us to be able to do that, in the first place, we should have a full understanding and sincere appreciation. That's why, you see, a good class advisor in one school may not necessarily be a good class advisor in another school, which has a totally different mission, vision, core values. An effective class advisor in this particular school should be according to the spirit of that school. So we have to know what our school stands for, what the core values are, what is the mission, vision, because that is our job to to have a full understanding and appreciation of it in order to get the students identify themselves with a school. Okay, I'll give you an example, and I think I somehow mentioned it yesterday. If you are a class advisor in a Catholic school, for example, well, that's a Catholic school, which therefore most likely has a configuration of a Catholic institution, and therefore the student should be able to see in the class advisors the Catholic spirit, the Christian identity of the school. That is a person who knows how to appreciate the Holy Mass, the sacraments, the prayers. If you're teaching in a Christian school, then the same. That class advisor has to have the embodiment of well, a Christian. If a class advisor is class advisor of a, let's say, Muslim school, well, he should be the embodiment of the Muslim faith. That is how it is. We are supposed to get the students identify themselves with a spirit of the specific school that we are teaching in. Here's the second thing. Second expectation of class advisors. Since we are the direct link to the parents, we should be able to communicate with ease, orally and in writing. It's very important because we are the link to the parents, right? We are the ones who send a letter to the parents to remind them about the son or the daughter being remiss, for example, doing poorly in academics. The class advisor is the one that is supposed to communicate with the parents. Mrs. So and so, we have to help your daughter, your son, especially because final exams are coming up soon and she or he needs to get at least 80 to be able to even just pass a subject. For us to be able to do that effectively, we have to know how to communicate with ease, orally and in writing, being the direct link to the parents. And number three, I know many of you class advisors. You're not just class advisor. You're not just a teacher. You sometimes become the cheerleader of the class when you have the intrams. You become the choreographer of the class for the Christmas open house or Christmas presentation for the parents. You become the coach of the students of your class advisory for the intrams or coach for the Sabayang Bigkasan, declamation contest, oratorical contest, right? That's what many of you are. I mean, that's what you class advisors do. You don't just teach a subject. You do not just collect reply slips. You do not just collect payments for the excursion, for the outing, for the new PE uniform. No, you also are on top of the class in creating the class spirit and therefore cheering for them during intrams, helping them choreograph their presentation, helping them have a chance of winning in the inter-class quiz bee or the inter-class declamation contest. Therefore, a third expectation of class advisors, we need to have a certain intellectual capacity and some managerial skills, organizational skills to handle the many and various concerns throughout the school year. Wow, that is a lot of work. I think you will understand, you know, by experience, that's true. Mr. Rentoy, that's what we had been doing. Well, these are the three expectations of class advisors if we are to be effective. And therefore, we should have seminars if there are administrators here. Well, we have to look into these things. How are we helping the class advisors have a full appreciation and understanding of the spirit of the school? Did we give them a workshop on the core values of the school's mission and vision, so that they appreciate it and then are able to transmit it to their class? Did we give them seminars, trainings, workshops on effective writing or communication, because it is a crucial aspect of being a good class advisor? And then did we help them develop um, time management skills, organizational skills, some managerial skills? Because it is third part or the third expectation of class advisors. And this is how, in fact, we become very, very influential for our students. Again, I repeat what I mentioned earlier. An effective class advisor can have the greatest impact on the formation of the students. And that's why we have to give a lot of premium importance to formation of class advisors, to the training of class advisors. Effectively, we really become like people taking the place of parents when the kids are in school. In loco parentis, it's in the class advisors where this phrase really becomes true, a reality. There's a study in the US that was done, and they saw that if a school is vibrant, innovative, child-centered place, if the school has a reputation for excellence in teaching, if students are performing to the best of their ability, one can almost always point to the principal's leadership as the key to success. The principal is key. But this same study also showed, this same report also saw, so earlier, if the school is like that, now if the class, if a class is a vibrant, innovative, child-centered place, if it has a reputation for excellence, if students are performing to the best of their ability, one can almost always point to the class advisor's leadership as the key to success. That's how it is. That's how important class advisors are. Every classroom is like a little school, but instead of the principal, it's the class advisor that creates the character, the personality, and then the success or failure of the class as a class in academics, in discipline, in behavior, even in extracurriculars. In the effective class, the class advisor acts as a leader and effectively communicates the goals to his students and their parents. So that's what we should become, strong leader. We have to be the leader of leaders, the coach, partner, and cheerleader of the class. The class advisor is the team leader. Let me go straight now into, remember our title is Systems and Strategies. I'm going to give you concrete ideas on what you can put in place, some systems, some concrete strategies that you can do to be effective class advisors. And I saw the names of Mr. De La Chica, Mr. Serafico. They were experts in Southridge in doing many of these systems and strategies that I'm going to share with you. The first one here, a system that you can put in place, the search for outstanding classes, award for class excellence. That's a system that if you put in place, your classes, your different sections will strive to be the best they can possibly be. In practically all the schools where I taught in, I found a way of being able to put in place this system of class excellence award or the search for outstanding classes. Um, and it's a class advisor usually that would get the class to be outstanding, to be exceptional, if we are able to put it in place. For example, when I taught in Bannister Academy, it's a young school there in Libis. Starting next year, they're going to transfer to Antipolo. The seal of the school is like this: Bannister Academy. You have two lions there. That's why we called it the Lion Award for Class Excellence. When I went to Northfield School in Quezon City, they also moved already to Antipolo. The name, I mean the mascot that we have there is like the um, the lighthouse. And so we called it the Lighthouse Award for Class Excellence. When I was in Southridge for 15 years, there was a time um, when I was serving as formation coordinator of intermediate school. And the principal during that time, Mr. Zaens, said, let's have as our battle cry for this school year, soar great heights. Okay, soaring great heights. So what comes to mind is an eagle. And so we called it the Eagle Award for Class Excellence. So you can come up with whatever name you want to call it, where you're going to give recognition, merits, points for certain things that the class gets to achieve. Okay? Very much like what we are familiar with in the sorry, in the book Harry Potter, you have there the house points, right? 30 points for Gryffindors, 20 points for Slytherins, like that. But this time, instead of houses, each class is a unit by itself, which will aspire to be considered as an excellent class. So the score or the points, instead of simply calling it 10 points for zero absence, the class will be given 10 points. Well, instead of simply saying 10 points or scores, in the case of Soar Great Heights, Eagle Award for Class Excellence, we would call it wings. 20 wings for grade 5 section B for having zero tardiness in the whole month of July. 50 wings for the class for winning in the declamation contest. 30 wings for grade 4 section C for being the cleanest classroom, the best bulletin board, the best decoration, the most, etc. So in the case of Bannister, instead of calling it points, you remember the logo I showed you, it's a shield, and then there are two lions. So that's what we call the points. 30 shields for this class. So I'll show you some ways by which a class can get points here or can get merits. For example, for one whole month, if the class had zero absence, that class will be given 20 points or 20 wings or 20 shields. Zero tardiness. In one month, the class will be given 20 or 30 shields. Cleanest classroom. Well, it will take a bit of time explaining it, but uh, for every student that is able to qualify for a varsity team or a club or a 10 shields or 10 points, for every student in your class that is able to compete in an international competition, the class is given 50 points or 50 shields or 50 wings. In a national competition, 30 wings. In a district competition, 10 points for that class. If 100% of the parents in that class show up for the parent teachers conference, in the case of Southridge or other PAREF schools, the system, what they have is parents forum, parents quarterly forum. And if the parents come, all 100%, the class will be given 50 points. 80% only, 40 points. 70% only of the parents show up, 20 points, etc. down the line. Attending the family fun run. 100% of the parents in your class attend, the class is given 50 points. And many more. And you can put in here all the other things that you want the class to do, to be able to do. The newspaper drive, fundraising, you can also put it in here. Initiatives, class outreach. But of course, the most important thing you want the students to do in the class is to study. And well, the only way to determine if the students are really doing their best and studying hard is by the number of students making it to the honor rolls. Therefore, if 100% of the students are able to make it to first honor, for example, well, honor rolls, first honor, second honor, or third honor, then that can be 100 points for the class. If 90% of them make it, 90 points. If 60% make it, then 60 points. That you can put in whatever other ways that you want them to work and to deliver. Now, here's the beautiful thing about it. They're not competing against each other because you're going to announce at the start of the quarter or at the start of the semester, okay, class, or okay, school, you're addressing the entire school for your class to be considered an excellent class, meaning to say to be given a recognition for class excellence. Your class should be able to get 1,000 points total, whatever it is. You can look at the whole quarter and what are the opportunities to be able to get points. And then you get more or less 80% of the possible points they can get and set that as to qualify as a class excellence awardee for this quarter. You should be able to get 800 points or 600 points, depending on how many possible points they can get for that quarter. And so any class that is able to collect or to get as many as 600, 800 points will be given recognition in the class excellence award at the end of every quarter. So they're not competing against each other. They're competing against themselves. They need a lot of points, then they have to make sure no more absence, class. Come on, unless if it is really because of serious reason. No tardiness. Do your best to be on time. Come on, submit the reply slips 100% all the time so that we, etc. You now have a class that is working as one team to be able to get all the points they can get. I'll show you an example. In my last year in Southridge, these are how we were able to get so many points. My class, the 7 dating darters, that's how we called ourselves. We had a welcome newsletter for the parents. And for that, we were given, for initiative, 30 points. We had a class website. We organized a pilgrimage to Tagaytay as a class. We had Enchanted Kingdom, which is supposed to build class spirit, camaraderie, friendship. We had magic show, inviting somebody in a student from high school to come to our classroom to do magic, to perform magic one lunchtime. Again, part of building camaraderie, friendship in the class, etc. We have all these initiatives that enabled us to get as many as more than 1,000 points, far more than what is needed to be able to qualify for that quarter as an excellent class. That's a system. Now, you might as well, instead of calling it grade 5B, grade 4C, that's so generic, we might as well give our class a name. And what we did in Southridge, in Northfield, in Bannister, and I also remember putting this in place in Westbridge, what we would do is at the start of the school year, the class advisor is supposed to spend time with an advisory class determining what class name should we be known by. And then we just give them the parameters. Let's say it has to be a name of a bird or an animal, and then an adjective, which is a virtue or value. And that becomes your class name, whether it is the Mighty Penguins 7D, We were 70 daring darters, or the amazing uh, 4C leopards, or 4C amazing leopards. Class name. You see what we're doing here? We are trying to give the class an identity, because when there is a class name, the students become, well, they feel they belong, not just to a section, but to a class that has a spirit, that has a name. Why not even give it a class motto? And this, again, is determined by the class advisor with the students at the start of the school year. What should we have as a motto? Never give up, or daring and daring and faith. Okay, that's your class motto. But it's part of creating an identity. Even better, why don't we have a class logo? And then, in the case of Southridge, the principal of the grade school department even told the students, you also have to come up with a class cheer. Okay, so all these are like nice ideas. I'm sure you would like to see how this looks like. Unfortunately, I don't have videos to make you hear how it sounds like. But let me share with you Southridge experience. It's an all-boys school in Alabang, and following those principles in that system of class excellence award, this is how it looked like. You have here a grade 6A class, and they decided to name themselves the 6A Resolute Wolves. That's the name they chose for themselves. And then they even chose their core values: fortitude, truthfulness, self discipline, faith, obedience, generosity, responsibility. Very nice. Well, those are the virtues of the month that they would follow. But for the class, they chose three as their core values for the 6A Resolute Wolves. You have their respect, fortitude, responsibility. Let's go to another classroom, grade 2A, and they call themselves the hard-working ants. And they chose four as their core values. And you find it there in their logo, the class logo. You enter the classroom and you will be reminded left and right of virtues, of values, of motto of the week. What they did was to have the same 5 classroom rules in every classroom. We're going to talk about that, by the way, in the classroom management session. Once and for all, you can solve that discipline problem. So I will not tackle more about classroom rules. You go to the corridors, you're reminded about virtues, values, virtue of the month. Here's another classroom, the grade 2C, and they call themselves the Friendly Cobras. Here's another classroom, and the grade 3B, they decided to call themselves the Brave Barracudas. And they have their core values, which the students chose at the start of the school year with the help of the class advisor. No? So they said they're going to go for bravery, loyalty, and zealousness. You enter any classroom and you're going to see their class logo. They're in a tarpaulin. You see what is happening in a situation like this? Even the environment becomes like a formative tool, developing class identity, class spirit, with their class logo and the class motto, etc. There's another classroom of grade 1A, enduring ASCALs. Okay, so you have all those things in place. Now it becomes exciting. At the start of every month, what Southridge would do is to gather all the students in an assembly, and somebody talks to them about the virtue of the month. This month, this is the virtue that we're going to highlight. They enter the auditorium and they see there displayed on stage their logo, their class symbol. You've created an identity for them. They are not just 5A, 4C, 6C. No, no, they are entering as the brave Barracudas, as the loyal Akitas, as the zealous Colts, as the friendly Cobras. That too is very effective in creating class spirit, class identity. Well, I know for some years, the most exciting part of the assembly, aside from somebody giving a talk about the virtue of the month and giving practical advice on these are some of the ways that we can live this virtue for this month, etc. It becomes very exciting when Captain Virtue shows up on stage. And you imagine how excited the students are, and Captain Virtue giving recognition to some students for exceptional performance or good performance in academics, in living the virtue. Um, this student, for example, is holding a certificate of recognition as a model student for hard work. And they even went farther than that. They would have the class shirt that they would wear. Now, in the assemblies, the principal or the officers of the school unit will update them of the different standings of the classes as far as class points is concerned. For example, through a slide or through a video presentation, the students will get to know the hardworking ants. So far, they have, and then it will be flashed on screen, let's say 700 points. And you imagine the class cheering. And then the enduring Ascals, now they have 900 points. And you can imagine louder cheer with but remember, they are not competing against each other, because for as long as they're able to reach the certain number set by the officers, they are given recognition or they qualify to be a class excellence awardee. It works. It has always worked. And when I was class advisor of grade 5B Best Bet, that was the name that we gave ourselves for 3 years. They would be able to break records even in number of points being collected or being gained. And you can imagine the cheering that the students do when they see their name, the class name flashed on screen, and when they see the points being announced. And you can have all the classes by the end of the year actually receiving the class excellence award if all of them are able to reach the quota number of points that they should be able to reach to get the recognition. That's the class excellence recognition. I now go to the set from Rafe Esquith. Rafe Esquith, as I mentioned to you earlier, has been teaching for almost 30 years in a poor community in Los Angeles, where many of the students end up failed, kicked out, or even jailed, except every single student who comes inside the grade 5 classroom of Rafe Esquith. It's a self-contained classroom, so he's the only teacher. He handles all the subjects from first period all the way to dismissal. But in the classroom of Rafe Esquith, students, the bell would ring at 7:30, but the students would be there by 6:30 or even 6 a.m. excited to do math and English drills. Math, English, and spelling drills. And not that they were forced, they're excited to be there. And I'm going to show you later why. The bell rings at 3 o'clock for dismissal, but students of RAFE want to stay up to 6 in the evening every day to rehearse for a Shakespeare play. And by the end of the school year, that Shakespeare play, they present it and they get invited all over the United States to perform it. They even performed before all the legislators in Congress and Senate in the US. They even performed before the judges in the in the judicial court in the US. So, um, how does he do it? Why are the students so participative and eager to succeed? And that's why all of them would go on to be highly successful professionals, ending up in Harvard, Stanford, Yale, and all those other top universities. I'm going to share some of his methods and madness in room 56. He's been using that same classroom for all the years that he's been teaching in that Hobart Elementary School, grade 5. And that's how he entitled his book, Teach Like Your Hair is on Fire, Methods and Madness in Room 56. So here's the first thing that he put in place, the systems. He came up with this system when he was trying to see how come sometimes I make an impact in the lives of my students. Sometimes not as much. He asked the question, when are we teachers able to make the greatest impact on the lives of our students? And you know what he discovered? The answer is this. We teachers are able to make the greatest impact in the lives of our students when we teach them life skills. When we give them skills they will need for the rest of their life. Not just skill to pass a quiz tomorrow or a test next week or a subject by the end of the school year, but skills they will need for the rest of their life. And so what he did was to come up with a system by which he is able to teach them life skills in grade 5. And he came up with an economic system. And here is how it goes. Life skills, remember? That's what he wants to do. Day 1 in his classroom, after welcoming the students, introducing himself, perhaps getting them to know each other, he would tell them, okay, class, we have an economic system in this room 56. Okay? The seat or the chair you are sitting on, you have to pay a monthly rental for that. And if you're not able to pay, then you cannot sit on it. You sit on the floor. Life skill, right? I mean, that's a basic life skill. If you don't work hard, you're not going to have a house. You will be homeless. You will be seatless. But he will tell them, don't worry, because here are job openings that you can apply for. And then he's going to distribute to them real job application forms that they will have to fill up to apply for whatever available jobs there are, and based on what they think will be according to their liking. So someday these kids are going to grow up and are going to apply for a job in the real world, and they will say, this is easy, I already did this in grade 5. Life skill makes a big difference. So here it is. He will tell them, okay, class, you need to pay for your chair monthly rental. By the way, if you pay 3 months equivalent, then you own the chair. Okay? So here are the different job openings that you can apply for. You can apply as a banker because for every 5 students, one will act as a banker, collecting fines, payments from the others, or giving them their interests or their monthly salary. Now, when we say money here, salary, we are talking of um, monopoly money, paper money. In the case of Rafe, because he's been doing this year after year after year for decades, he already had printed the currency in room 56. So we need a banker for every 5 students taking care of the accounts of 4. $600 monthly salary. Here's another job assignment. Here's another job opening that you can apply for, and it's the highest paying job of them all. Janitor, $650 a month. Day one, and Rafe is teaching kids a very important lesson in life. It's the service that you give that gives value to your work. It's not the prestige or the reputation. Janitor, highest salary. And that's why the classroom of Rafe is spick and span. It's very clean because he would divide it into districts. The classroom would be divided, let's say, into 4 areas. Each area, there would be a janitor in charge of cleanliness and order. And so the room of Rafe is very clean, very orderly, because there are janitors being paid to do the job among the students. Here's another job that you can apply for. Remember what I said earlier? Students are there, excited to be there by 6 or 6:30 a.m., doing math, English, spelling drills. Now, maybe some of you are thinking, oh no, that's additional work. I have to check those drills. No, that's another job opening. You can apply as graders in charge of checking the drills that the students do and creating a, how do you call this, like keeping track of their scores. $575 a month salary. Or you can apply as a messenger because sometimes we need to send somebody to the office, get materials, borrow the video projector. So we need a messenger. $575 a month salary. Here's another job opening, and we need 4, one for each area, one for each district. Police officer, so that even if there is no teacher inside the classroom, no problem. The police officer will make sure there is order, there is discipline. There's another job that you can apply for. Rafe believed in the power of movies. You know, I'm sure you've experienced it. Watching a movie that can sometimes be life-changing, that can affect you in a very positive way, in a very impactful way. And so what he would do is to keep, to make available these videos in VHS formats, in DVD formats, nowadays in USB formats, life-changing videos with very positive life lessons. And we need somebody to be on top of the videos. We need somebody to be video monitor, $575 a month salary. Or here's another job assignment, recycler. Yeah. In charge of the garbage. That's not the work of the janitor. We need somebody else to be on top of the garbage can, the garbage area to collect recyclables. $500 a month salary. Here's another job opening, and he would tell them It's the most boring job of them all because no one usually is late. No one usually wants to be absent. It's the attendance monitor, $475 a month salary. Here's another job you can apply for: clerk, assisting the teacher, keeping order in the teacher's table, assisting the teacher in distributing papers, collecting the drills, and passing them on to the graders. $550 a month. Here's another one. Remember, I mentioned earlier, by the end of the year, every single student in the classroom, in the grade 5 classroom, is able to publish a book. Wow, how does he do that? Well, he requires them to write book reports practically on a weekly basis. They have to read a book and write a report about that book. And so he needs to keep a library in his own classroom. We need somebody to be on top of that, a librarian. You can also apply for that, and the salary is 525. And the book reports that the students write, just put them all together by the end of the year with proper editing, they are able to publish a book. And whatever other jobs you can offer them. Remember, this is life lesson. These are life lessons the students are learning. In life, you have to work hard so that you can earn, so that you can pay for your chair. Otherwise, you become homeless, seatless. Now, here is how much they have to pay for the monthly rental of the seat they're using. The front of the room, the closer to the teacher, the more expensive. Let's call it Bel Air, first row, $1,000 a month rental. Middle of the room, let's call it Beverly Hills, $750 a month rent. Next to the video library, let's call it Hollywood, $700. Near the water fountain, let's call it Santa Monica, $675. There at the very back, the cheapest room, the cheapest row, let's call it Skid Row, $550 a month only. What do you notice? The rent of the seat is higher than the salary. Life lesson. Isn't that how it is in life? You cannot buy a house just relying on your salary. You need to have extra income. You need to look for other sources of income. Now, if you're going to follow that system here in the Philippines, Shangri-La, first row, Rustan, second row, third row, SM, Metropolis, and then there at the back is a Liana's supermarket or Pure Gold. Now, you notice rental of the seat is higher than the salary. And the Rafe Esquith will tell them, but don't worry, here are ways by which you can earn extra income. Like in real life, right? There are other ways of being able to earn extra income. And he would tell them, here are ways to get bonus money, extra income. Get a perfect score in the spelling or math drill. The banker will credit $50 to your account. Do that 3 times in a row. Perfect score, perfect score, perfect score. 3 times, the banker will credit your account with $100. On any other test, you get 90% score, $50. You get perfect on any other test, perfect score, $200. The banker will credit your account with $200. So, students will study hard, very hard, to get a perfect score. Completing a weekend video assignment. You remember the videos I talked about, life-changing videos? If you borrow one video over the weekend, watch it at home, and then when you return the video to the video monitor Monday, you have to return the VHS, the DVD, the USB. You have to return it, answering 3 questions about the movie that will bring out the life lessons. You have to return the video with answers to those 3 questions. And the banker will credit you with $50. Some will not just bring home one, they will borrow 2 or 3 life-changing videos to watch over the weekend. And then they will return with answers to 3 questions for every movie. They get $150 for the 3 videos they watch. Perfect attendance for the month. No absence. $100 will be credited by the banker. Coming to school early for extra math or spelling drills. $100 every time you do that. That's why I told you, they are inside the classroom by 6 a.m. excited, happy to do math or spelling drills because they get this extra income. Staying after school for Shakespeare, $100 every day that you do that. Joining the school orchestra, another $100. Joining the school chorus, another $100. Playing the guitar or the keyboard with a teacher during recess and lunch. Rafe would make himself available for students who want to learn how to play the guitar or the keyboard during recess and during lunch. By the end of grade 5, all the students in the class know how to play the guitar or the keyboard or both by the end of grade 5. I mean, it really becomes life-changing for them. But another high award or one of the highest rewards is $200 if you are complimented by another teacher for good behavior, for good attitude, for good work. You see, students work to be the best students they can possibly be academically, in extracurriculars, in behavior, because of the economic system of RAFE. Of course, as I mentioned, you pay the banker 3 times your monthly rental and you own it. Some of the students become so rich doing all these things, they're able to buy their seats. Pay the banker 3 times of your monthly rental and you own the seat. Life lesson. They realize it's better to own than to rent. Some of them become so rich, they even buy the seat of their classmate so that every month they collect payments from them. Another month has passed, you have to pay monthly rental to me. I own that chair you're sitting on. Grade 5, and they become entrepreneurial. But there are also fines. Tardiness, $50. The banker deducts $50 from your account. You miss homework, minus $50. You are rude, like you're not listening when somebody is reciting or somebody is speaking, minus $50 from your account. Messy desk, because the police, remember the police that we talked about earlier? They do surprise raids and check on your drawers and your cabinets. If they find it messy, $100 fine. But the highest fine is reserved for dishonesty, cheating, plagiarizing, copying, dishonesty. Now, the thing is, Rafe Esquith always talked about the 6 levels of moral development. And it's important for the teacher, for the class advisor, to teach students that they do things not just to avoid a punishment, to get a reward, or just to please the teacher, or just to follow rules. He would always emphasize, we have to do good and do the right thing because we have a code of behavior. We live by principles. This is very important because some schools, after learning about the economic system of RAFE, they would implement it. And the students become obsessed with money, with getting all the uh, money, bonus money that comes with doing all those things. If we don't put in the living by principles, living by core values, side by side with this, if we don't put in that value part, this becomes like they become obsessed with money. So it's important that we put this side by side with um, living by principles. And you're able to do that when, for example, a class advisor tells the class, okay, class, we're going to attend the first Friday Mass. Many of you are teachers of Catholic schools, right? You're going to tell the class, okay, class, we're going to attend the first Friday Mass. I expect best behavior, not because I'm going to punish, not because I'm offering a reward, not because I just want you to please me, not because it's the rule, but it's because level 5, according to Kohlberg, of moral development, level 5, I'm considerate of other people. I expect best behavior because you have to be considerate of the others who will be attending the Mass with us. That's why we keep silence, we keep solemnity, we behave. And most importantly, level 6 of moral development, according to Kohlberg, I live by principles. I expect you to behave in the best way you can because you're carrying the name of our class, the enduring Ascals, the best bets, the daring darters. Remember the name of the class. I expect you to behave in the best way you can because you're carrying the name of the class. And our class stands for whatever core values you may have chosen or decided with your class in the beginning of the school year. Okay? So I will not have time anymore to go over my own how do you call these strategies. Let me end by sharing with you the vision for your class advisory. Here's the vision. If you are going to put in all those systems and strategies, what I want you to see as your class, how your class is going to be known. Here it is. Students are very proud to be in your class. They are very happy to be part of your class advisory. In fact, they think that the other classes are kawawa, pitiful, compared to yours. Students from other classes envy your class. They'd want to be there. And as I go through this vision for your class advisory, some of you I know are thinking, Mr. Rentoy, ganyan nga. That's how my class is. Because you've been good class advisors, excellent, effective class advisors. Here's another one. The parents. They're so satisfied and confident with you because they know their class advisor genuinely cares for their children. And they're just eager to support you and to help you. Their satisfaction comes especially from the realization that you, the class advisor, are a role model for their child. Virtuous, upright, moral, high impact teacher. Parents and students speak highly of your professionalism, your punctuality, your kindness, your positive attitude, that you bring out the best in the students, in their children. The parents may have complaints and issues like everywhere else in whatever school, but your presence, your attitude, Your support all make the problems look trivial and insignificant. Your students support you to do and to do. The last thing they'd ever want is to upset you, offend you, or be in disfavor with you. They may lose trust in some teachers, even in the system, or even in the curriculum. But your being their child's class advisor makes up for whatever shortcomings there are. And they are still able to say, it's still worthwhile to be in this school. You are the spirit of the class, the soul of the team, the magic behind the great class that it is. In your class advisory, the team spirit is so strong. Failure of one student causes sadness for the whole class. But success of one student is a great joy for the whole class. There may be misunderstandings among the students every now and then, but they are ready to forgive for the sake of class unity because they know they belong. You remember, they have a class identity. They identify themselves with your class. This is the vision. This is what our classes can become, regardless of however our class may have been last year or in the previous years. For this new school year that we're preparing for, we have this vision of how we want our class to be. If there is anything right now that the school needs, your school needs to become a really great school, it's a set of effective class advisors. Our role is to produce men and women of character, and the class advisors are the single most important factor for the school's success in this task. We're not taking the place of the parents because that's at home, but in the school, in our classroom, it's we, class advisors, who can do it. Not the guidance counselor, not the principal. We teach them integrity when we come to class punctually every single day. 2 minutes before start of the day, eager and ready, not dragging our feet. They learn integrity in the way we carry ourselves, and they know. They know us. They know how we do things. This is the vision for your class.